feel today, just to get back out there with the pads on? Did it feel kind of just like a normal practice to you?
Most definitely, most definitely. It was for all the guys, that we have a real passion for football, right, or a real love for football, and have been doing this their entire lives. This whole situation has been, put us out of whack. Coming back to football is kind of giving us a sense of, regularity. So it does feel good to be back out there, and it does feel like football again.
Dan Reeder.
Akeem, first, how much did Khalil pay you to pinch hit for him today with us?
To what?
The pinch hit for him today, talking to us.
Oh, I didn't know I was pitch hitting. Hey, I thought you wanted to talk to me, but I can always make my meeting early.
So when you talk about getting back into whack after being knocked out of whack by all this situation, how easy has it been, and what's been the key over the last couple of weeks of just getting sort of into a rhythm?
Oh, Stacey Dales is here. Hey, Stacey, how you doing? Sorry, I missed your question. What was it?
Just, you said you got knocked out of whack due to COVID and everything. In the last couple of weeks, what has it taken to get into a rhythm, to get into a feeling, a routine, and to make everything feel normal again?
Oh man, you just get back into it. You get fully immersed back into just your regular routine, your regular schedule, and being around the guys and being around the football facility kind of makes it just that much easier. You start to find your groove again, and it just becomes natural. It feels natural. So, we have a lot of precautions and things going on around here to make sure that we're, as safe as we can be. But, after you get past all that, it turns into a regular day of just preparation for your season.
Chris Sema.
Akeem, obviously Eddie Goldman's a really tough guy to replace on that defensive line. How do you guys feel like you're set to do that? And Bilal Nichols was a guy who said he really kind of taken ownership and potentially play that nose role. Do you feel like what's the scouting report for him?
I feel like, to address first Eddie Goldman, very very supportive and understanding of his move and what he has to do for his future. So that's first. Secondly, I would put Eddie Goldman up against any nose tackle in the league as one of the best to do it. And he just has this natural football feel to him. And I have a lot of respect for him as a player and a person. So he will be missed around the building, right? Bilal Nichols is going to step in and play the best football that he can, and he showed promise through his first couple years. So we look forward to him taking the next progression, the next step forward, and shoot, getting another position down.
Kevin Fishman.
Hey, Keem. Coach Nagy told us a couple weeks ago that he thought you looked like the best shape you've looked to start a training camp. Do you feel that? And if so, how you're able to get in such great shape, being away from the building for this whole time and kind of balancing the pandemic and everything?
Oh, it was tough. I think it was tough on everybody. I think it was tough for guys to find whatever regimen or routine that was going to work for them and make sure that they could, get their body, into a place where they feel like they can perform and play football. And so I think for older guys that have been through an off season before and have had different situations where they train with different trainers or they train themselves, I think it was actually just a little bit more, it was pretty efficient, for me. Even though I didn't have a great workspace, I ran at my local park. I worked out in my garage, my home gym in my garage. And, I felt good. I feel good being back. And, no matter what you do in the off season, though, you can never get in football shape. It's an entirely different world when you're running around and you're hitting guys and you're doing those different, football type movements. But I think everyone here took a special interest in making sure that we were prepared to come back. And I remember during the Zoom meetings, it was something that Nagy really pushed towards and made sure the guys understood that there was going to be an expectancy of, being able to perform when we got here. So I think everybody did a really good job of that, not just myself.
We're going to go JJ Stankovitz, Mark Potash.
Akeem, kind of along those same lines, you have less time to get ready into real football shape before week one starts this year. So what's your understanding of the challenge of trying to get ready for the Lions with only really 15 practices to do so here?
I would say this, that I think everybody's dealing with the same calendar. Let's start with that. Every team is dealing with the same calendar. So, when we go to play another team, how we spent our days of practice and how they spent their days of practice is really going to tell when we step on the field. So I think that for us here, we're just trying to make sure that we execute and take advantage of all the time that we do have, and not really look at it as a situation of, oh, I missed this or missed that. It's everybody's starting on the same page, and we just got to push to a point where we feel like we can dominate and get into that postseason.
We've got time for one more. We're going to close it out with Mark Potash.
Hey, Keem. We've talked to players about, players who have chips on their shoulders, have something to prove. You've kind of been there in that situation before. So I guess my question is just general. What's your motivation at this point in your career? What's the way to say what your motivation is right now, heading into this season?
I guess I learned a long time ago that, not everybody's going to respect what you do. Not everybody's going to be, high on you as a player and believe that you're, one of the, the chosen, few to be at the top of the ratings and stuff like that, or PFF or whatever, what have you. For me, my personal motivation is myself. I want to make sure that my time, playing the sport that I love, that I've given the majority of my life to, is, it's worth something. And so for me, being, in my 9th year, I find that wanting to perform at my best, taking all the wisdom that I've garnered over these past years and applying it, that's my motivation. It makes me, it excites me. So.
Great. Thank you.
Right. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Keem.
Sure.
What's your greatest curiosity and your area of focus in this immediate time period between now and the start of the regular season in assessing Jalen Johnson and where he needs to get to and where he's at with such a limited window to gauge that?
Yeah, great question. And we all know he's coming off a deal from the offseason and shoulder, so we're being careful with that. But the plays that he's been out there, the controlled environment, situational stuff that he's done a great job. He can run. He's got length. He's got confidence. He's got ball skills. He's got all that stuff. But, until we actually see him, live, whether, live periods out here, thud periods out here, scrimmage situation, if that comes up, whatever coach, Nagy comes up with, from a drill standpoint, once he's plugged in, just see how he reacts to, it's not going to be, preseason, the lights are on, all that stuff, but we're going to try to manufacture it best we can just to see how he reacts to those situations. And then, from, an adversity standpoint, so something's going to go bad. Someone's going to catch a ball. Allen's going to catch a ball on him. There's going to be a bad play, but he seems like a really confident guy. He seems like a guy, playing that position, you got to have amnesia. So I think those are the situations that, when things get a little bit tough, to see how he responds. JJ?
Chuck, a two-part question. First, what do you lose in that cornerback competition without Artie Burns going forward? And then second, with Jalen, what does he have to do to show you guys that he has successfully adjusted to the speed and the physicality of the pro game over the next couple of weeks to get him to the point where you can trust him out on the field in September?
Yeah, losing Artie, stinks. You don't want to lose anybody. And here's a guy that, had opportunity to go a lot of different places and loved what he heard and saw from, teammates that he played with and guys that he knew. Came here, was going to be a fresh start for him, an opportunity to come in and, prove himself. So, iron sharpens iron like man sharpens man. So you lose another guy that's a legitimate guy, a guy that's got length, that can run. He's a player, and those other guys know that, so we hate it for Artie, and he's never had a serious injury like this. So, we'll help him get through this, but that, from a competition standpoint, that hurts you a little bit. But we got good numbers there, that guys that can fill in. And then again, Jalen, to answer the second part of your question is, we just got to see him play. We got to get him out there, and he's just got to play, and he's got to compete. And right now, unfortunately, again, it's not going to be in preseason game. It's going to be in situational football. Practice reps, if we have live periods, whatever that is, we've got to see him play. And then it's going to be baptism under fire for all these young guys, whoever the young guys are that get on the field for us, him being one, whether it's Trevis, Gibson getting out there, Kendall Vildor, whoever on I'm just speaking defensively, they're going to get thrown into the fire, on defense. They're going to get thrown into the fire, on special teams, September 13th, and it's going to count. And they're not all going to be great plays. There's going to be some bad plays. We understand that, but that's okay. We'll correct them and we'll move on. So I think we're going to find out a lot about these guys, when it really, really matters.
Kevin Fishbane?
Hey, Chuck, I know it's only been 2 practices, but what have been your early impressions of Tashawn Gibson, based on the field, off the field, and then kind of how you mesh that with what you knew about him coming in?
Yeah, great pro. He's all business. He's got great instincts. He's got range. He can play deep. He's done a good job playing down the box. He's doing a good job in one-on-one situations and man situations. He's come in here and really picked up the defense. Did a great job, in the off season over the Zoom stuff, and it's carried over to, the early part of camp. So really love his professionalism. He's a pretty quiet guy, doesn't say much, but he goes out there and he competes at a high level.
Adam Johns?
Chuck, to kind of go off that, how do you see your safety competition kind of unfolding? Is there a certain timeline that you have in mind where you want one guy in there for the majority of the reps? And on top of that, what type of challenges maybe have Jimmy Graham and Cole Kmet posed to them and other positions of your defense?
Yeah, they pose a great threat, and it's a great opportunity to find out who can cover and who can't. We match them up in one-on-one situations. You guys saw that. Yesterday we were down in the red area. So those are 2 big-time players. Obviously, Jimmy's been around for a long, long time, and Cole being a rookie, coming out, he's going to be a phenomenal football player. I think we can all see that. So that's a great challenge for those guys. And then, just as far as the safety position itself, it's early. We're still kind of in a ramp up phase. I know we got, the first day of pads in, or 2 days in, whatever it's at, and they're off today. We'll come back and get another padded day in, so we just need to stack reps and stack plays. Like the other positions on the team that we have competition working, we're going to even those reps out. We're going to make sure that each guy gets significant reps with, versus the ones and things like that. So our coaches are doing a great job with them. We're grading every single snap that they take out there, whether it be a walkthrough, a one-on-one period, a team run period, a 7-on-7, a red zone period. So we're grading all that stuff. Those guys understand that, but we've got to do a good job of making sure that they all, have a legitimate, I call it their day in court, so we give them, the quality reps, and a fair amount of reps for each so that we can, make a great decision at the end.
Pat Finley?
Chuck, what did you want Tolliver to focus on in the offseason, get better at, and what are you going to be looking for out of him, as he has a pretty big opportunity now?
No, he's got a great opportunity like the other guys, but he's got to come in and, we talked to him about, from a physical standpoint, obviously we didn't have him, but just working on, his footwork, change of direction, in and out of breaks, as best as he could. And it was very, very difficult. Obviously, you guys understand that during these unprecedented times. And some guys had better opportunities to work in facilities and things like that, areas to go out and work on that stuff. So everybody was given kind of a prescription when they left in January from their position coach. And here's 3 things that you need to go really focus on. And then the mental part of it, and he did, like all of them, he did a phenomenal job. He didn't miss any days on the Zoom. He was, even if they had a safety Zoom meeting off to, to the side, and it was a, hold D back, and that was the safeties. He sat in on every one of those Zoom meetings because he wants to know not only what his job is down in and down out, but the whole scheme and, why we're calling, what we're calling, what the situation is, understand where his help is, all those kind of things. So I think he's grown, again, from a mental standpoint. Physically, all the tools are there. Now he's just got to go do it. He's got to go line up, and he's got to compete, and he's got to make plays.
Mark Potash?
Hey, Chuck, when Deion Bush came into the league, he had a reputation as a real heavy hitter. And at the same time, the league kind of legislated that part of the game, off the books. I imagine, as you saw yesterday, he kind of misses that. But I'm wondering, how has he adjusted to not being able to use that part of his game? And is that, in effect, kind of in any way made him just be a better safety, technically?
Yeah, obviously, he didn't get the memo. You guys saw it yesterday, but no, he's a physical guy, and I think you can still, our guys again do a great job of teaching the fundamentals and technique. Sean does, because there's a strike zone. You stay away from the head. Everything, below the head and neck and above the waist, and eyes up, head up, see what you tackle. All those things you still got to be physical, and he still can play a physical brand. They all have to be under control. A lot of their tackles that they're going to make are going to be in space. So they have to play with good body position. They have to play under control. And then they also know, where, the line that you can't cross, not only in practice, but then come game time. So I love his energy. I love his passion for this game. And, we all want it to be physical, especially on the defensive side, right? And we want to be the monsters of the midway. We want to wreak havoc. We want to impose our physicality on people. And we're going to do that. We're going to take it right to the line as close as we can, and we're not going to cross it. But football is still football, okay? You have to whip the man's ass in front of you, down after down after down. And you have to out physical those guys. And that's what our job is. That's what our job is, without crossing the line, within the framework of the rules.
All right, we got time for one more. Mark Grody, go ahead.
Yeah, Chuck, you referenced, I think, Jalen Johnson's shoulder issue. So is he limited right now? And at what point, if he is limited, what is the plan for him to be able to be full force and to do everything you guys want him to do out there?
Yeah, again, Andre and his crew, Tucker, do a great job. And we're going to bring him back at a pace that's, what they think is right for him. We just don't want to bring a guy back and throw him to the wolves, so to speak. So there's things that he can do, and then we're going to protect him. He wants to be out there. Nobody wants to come in here and not be part of this whole process, but we have to be smart, and it's a guy coming off of whatever. You can throw him out there. You can get impatient and then have a setback, and that's something that we do not want to do. And so we listen to Andre. We listen to the doctors, our trainers. They're gonna lead the way on that and let us know. Okay, I think we're at a point now where we can start to ease them into certain drills, have them participate in full go live stuff. And but whenever that is, again, we're gonna defer to Andre and his crew, and when they feel like that time is, then we'll cut him loose.
All right, thanks everyone. We should have Coach Castillo in here at 10:30.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, Chris, I'm curious, what about Eddie led you to think that he'd be fine without another competitor in camp?
Well, I think it's, the thing that's different this year than other years is that we're down to 80 as opposed to 90. So you have to make some decisions there. So it comes down to a numbers game.
JJ?
Chris, do you have an expectation for Eddie that if he were to fall below that, you would have to say, hey, we might need to bring in some competition. We might need to squeeze another kicker in onto the 80?
Well, that's a good question. I think that's for every player, to be honest with you. I mean, you expect them to make kicks, and you want them to make every kick. But history has shown that doesn't always happen. But his expectation is to be a really good player for us. And if we're not satisfied, if that doesn't get satisfied, just as any other position, then you have to do what's best for the team.
Adam Hogue?
Chris, how much at this point have you discussed with Eddie the possibility of, or probably the reality of, there not being fans in the stands, and what kind of impact that might have on a kicker?
Personally, I'm excited about it. That no one's yelling at me. No, to be honest with you, it's something we can't control. So I haven't discussed that. I mean, really, I've never had a conversation with a player about fans being in the stands, even if it was a normal year. I mean, you have a job to do. There's a process that you have to go through in order to make the kicks, and that's all we talk about, whether there's people there or not.
Mark Potash?
Hey, Chris, in the early going with pads on, who looks good out there?
There's a lot of guys that I still think it's a little early, Mark, to be honest with you. Still in that. I mean, we've only had 2 days of pads. And, the first day of pads, sometimes I kind of look at it as like they haven't had pads on since the Minnesota game. That was a long time ago. So guys are improving. I'm encouraged by a lot of guys. But like I say, I just never want to single out a player.
I'm never going to get one single player out of you, am I?
No, and then you know what? I do commend you. That was a great shot, and I loved how you reworded the question, but it's not looking good for that.
Pat Finley?
Cordero said that the offense isn't allowed to steal him away from you. Is that true?
No, we want Cordell still be playing special teams, and we're excited that he is still going to be our kick returner and playing out there at gunner.
JJ?
Do you need to take any precautions if he ends up being a bigger part of the offense than he was last year, just to make sure he stays fresh or any of that stuff?
I don't think so. I think that we always use him wisely. He's a good football player. He's very well conditioned, and he's a true pro's pro. So I think we'd all agree that when he's back there returning kicks, I mean, that's a threat that something big could happen, and we want to continue to have that.
JJ?
Chris, usually it seems like preseason games are a really good test for your units, coverage units specifically. Without those actual games, without going really live on a large amount of kickoffs and punt returns and punt coverages and all that, how difficult does that make your job in evaluating some of the guys who you might want to take on special teams?
Well, it is going to become challenging because I think you're 3 weeks away from playing this first game, and just the whole how are you going to get those so-called live reps and evaluations of guys? I think, and at the same time being safe while you do it, because you are down to 80 players, not 90 players. So we're going to have to incorporate some other things in our drills that we do, even if it's close quarters, to try to manufacture the feel of blocking a guy and feeling that the strength that guy is going against. Those are hard things to simulate, so that when we play Detroit, the first time that a guy goes to block a guy, you go, whoa, coach, I haven't felt that in a while. So we're trying to knock some of that out, but yeah, we got to be creative, and it's going to be challenging, but we'll get it done.
Dan?
Chris, just to follow up on that, it's still early, but as you mentioned, it's getting late pretty quick also. So how much of this going into a Sunday in Detroit is going to be a bit of flying blind and not knowing exactly who you are?
Well, I think, what you're trying to do right now is establish who you are and who you want to be. And I think fortunately, I have a lot of guys that are back. And so there's an expectation there within our room that we can rely on and fall back on. As Coach Wooden always said, I don't worry about the opponent. I worry about my team. And I have that same philosophy. I think a lot of coaches do. So we're going to have to rely on that. I mean, at the end of the day, I always tell the players it's about assignment, alignment, and technique. And those are 3 things that those guys can control. And so we're going to fall on that.
Brody?
Chris, is it good that Eddie Pinheiro doesn't have competition because of the truncated training camp at this point?
I don't know if the word's good. I don't think I'd use good. I'd say that it's different for a kicker because they're competing against themselves and yet competing against the rest of the league, and it's it's about makes and misses, and obviously you want to have more makes. So the pressure of that, it's a guy doesn't go out and perform, then teams have to make a decision on what they're going to do, whether there's another person there or not. We know that our position, I stated it last time, we haven't arrived at that position at all. And, so we're looking forward to this next challenge, and he just has to keep progressing and getting better.
Dan?
Chris, as Tariq continues to evolve and hopefully ascend as a returner, what do you identify as the next steps for him?
With regards to whether the next steps.
Just in terms of areas of improvement that you'd like to see. Obviously, he's established himself as one of the top guys, but things that you focus with them.
Well, I think that, last year we've visited and I think that we could have been better as a whole unit in punt return. Last year was an NFL new low for punt returns. And whatever we finished, we were top 10, but it was only at 9.2. We weren't even at double digits. And, we got to get back to at least getting a first down is what we always say, and establishing field position. And whatever comes after that first down is gravy. We need to get back to that. And not just, I look at punt return teams could have high averages because maybe they don't return a lot and they hit one big one, but the other ones are, the guy doesn't field it or, they don't go very far. We want to consistently, between 10 and 15 yards, how many do we have compared to the league average? 20 plus returns, what do we have? I mean, those are areas that I think that we need to improve on. Coming up and even making the tough fair catch, I think is something that people say, oh, it's just a fair catch. No, it was a tough one. And we saved field position. So we got to hide some of those things and not letting the ball bounce and roll and those type of things. We got to handle that.
Got time for a couple more. Fishbane?
Hey, Chris, what can you tell us about Iggy in terms of his progression since he got here and kind of the type of role he could have this year and how he's ready for it?
Oh, Iggy's, he's gotten better. This is year 3 for him, so this is a big year. In my opinion, it's kind of like when you're in high school, when you're a sophomore and your junior year, it seems like juniors always play better than they did their sophomore year. I kind of expect the same thing from Iggy. I mean, he's had a lot of experiences now on the field that he can pull from and learn from. So I'm counting on him as one of my leaders and a guy that makes a lot of plays for us. So he needs to get that done.
All right, I think that's all the questions we have. Thanks, everyone. We'll have Chuck in here next.
Thanks,
The Rewind Sports 60.
How has it felt to get out there with the pads on and kind of run through a real football practice with the team? And how quickly do you feel like you're building some chemistry with your receivers?
It's been great being out there with the pads. I mean, it's been a while since all of us have put them on. So just to get used to them again has been great. I know it helps out. It helps out everyone, especially the O&D line, because it's tough to block when guys don't have pads on. But, it's been great. And then building relationships every day, continue to progress, continue to get to know the guys more, seeing how guys run routes, all the little ins and outs that, make teams great. I'm learning every day here and really, I'm enjoying the process. It's definitely a process for sure.
Kevin Fishman.
Hey, Nick, we were just talking to Matt about those one-on-one drills you guys are doing near the goal line. Seemed like pretty competitive period. What was your impressions of how that went today? And then kind of what's it like having someone like Jimmy Graham to work with down there?
Yeah, I mean, one-on-one in the red zone is always a fun time. I mean, there's not much room, man versus man. I thought it was really good work today. I thought, guys were being extremely competitive, practicing hard, but being smart. And then, having a guy like Jimmy, I thought Jimmy had a great day of work today and really showed why he's been such a great player in this league for so long.
Jane Weider.
Nick, just following up on Jimmy, knowing this offense the way you do, what is it about him that fits in this offense so well? And then aside from that, for you personally, how are you dealing with this time crunch, knowing that 3 weeks from now we're going to be square in the middle of week 1?
Yeah, I mean, first off, just playing with Jimmy and getting used to him, it's been great. He's been such a great player in this league, and he's got such a great radius of catching. I mean, the dude can catch the ball and run routes, and he's still got a lot of juice in him. And then the knowledge he brings to the game. I mean, he's played the game a long time. He's been around some great teams. So I always enjoy hearing how other teams have done it, how other players have done it. The wisdom he's gained from different offenses is intriguing. So having those conversations has been great. And I think, season's not too far away. I think you said 3 weeks is when, week 1 starts. So I'm not really worried about it, though. I think we have so much going on each day. I really always focus on the day and the moment and just try to detail it up. I mean, we had a really solid team practice today. Was everything perfect? No, but, we'll watch film, we'll go through meetings, we'll go through installation walkthroughs. So the one thing I've learned throughout my career and in life is not to dwell too much on the future, but to focus on the now. So right now, all I'm doing is just being present and focusing on right now, how I can better myself and help my team in this moment.
Pat Finley.
Hey, Nick, I'm curious, when you look at Mitch, what have you seen in getting to know him and just kind of the way he's carrying himself this year?
Yeah, it's been great getting to know Mitch. The quarterback coach is great with Mitch and Tyler. And the big thing is just getting to know one another. We have a really good time. It's been a great relationship, and I think he's doing a great job out there executing the offense, throwing with confidence. He looks comfortable, and I think he's doing a great job. And I've just really enjoyed getting to know him because I hadn't really had an opportunity to get to know him before coming here. I'd been around him a few times real quickly, so it's always nice to get to know someone on a deeper level, and that's what's been going on. That's what goes on during training camp, and especially in the QB room. So we really have a great time out there pushing each other and helping each other, and it's been a productive relationship.
Colin Kane.
Hey, Nick, now that you've got some practices under your belt, what's been the most challenging part to getting up to speed with your teammates in this offense?
I think it's just you want to be at that, top level and where you're just not thinking and you're just playing. And so I just keep reminding myself each time a play is called, just focus on this play, just execute this play. If it's a play that I'm not as familiar with or haven't had as many reps, just really thinking through the reads real quick and recognizing the defense. But also knowing the big thing is it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't just go out on the practice field and all of a sudden everything clicks. There is a process, and just like the little things I just said to y'all, really just simplified in my mind. If we're doing a QB warm-up drill, let me focus on this QB warm-up drill. If we're going to go do QB running back handoffs, let's focus on my footwork and the little things. And then as each drill goes on, I really just do my best to focus on how to do that drill to the best of my ability. And then by the end of the day, just getting a tiny bit better. That's all my focus. And I know the process. Eventually, you just get up to speed. You want to be there right at the beginning. It's not how it works. I feel good out there, but I want to be better when we come out there on Thursday, and I want to be better on Friday, but I want to learn from the day before. So a lot to learn from today's practice, good and not too much bad, but there's things that can be better. So learning from them and moving forward.
Adam Hogue.
Hey, Nick, I'm curious about the tempo of practice. Matt just got done telling us how important that is in the evaluation, getting in and out of the huddle. I'm curious just the way the competition is being operated with you and Mitch kind of, switching so quickly in and out, seems like every drill, how that's helping.
Yeah, the coaches have it set up. I'm not exactly sure, and I don't really focus on it at all. That's their decision. Mitch and I's job is to go out there and just execute these plays and help this team. So that's what we're doing. They have different rotations every day. I don't know specifically how it is. It doesn't matter. We're going to go against the first, second, third. Who knows? The big thing is going in there and executing the plays and focusing on the plays and, getting better. And that's what we do. And it's been good. I've enjoyed it.
JJ Stankovitz.
Nick, what's been your impression of the challenge the defense you go against provides to both you and Mitch in this competition?
Well, I know from playing against this defense a few years ago how talented they are firsthand in a big game. And I get to go against them every day in practice. They give you a bunch of different looks. They bring a lot of energy and they move around. So it's making us better. And, when we execute, we're making them better. And I think that's how you create a great team, is you compete with one another every day. And we're fortunate to have great players on both sides of the ball that are really going after it.
Dan Weeder.
Nick, you've been around this league for a long time and seen what game days are like. When we transition into this world without fans in the stadium, what are your curiosities for what that's going to be like and how you guys have to kind of sort of manufacture juice that might have otherwise been there naturally?
Yeah, it'll be different. It'll be different because so much of playing this game has always been, the atmospheres. I even go back to like high school football in Texas. So much of that was, the Texas high school football atmosphere where there's 10,000 people at a game. And then you go to college and people are at games. And then all of a sudden you're in the NFL and, you're going to these stadiums and it's crazy. So it'll definitely be different without fans, without the noise, without everything. I don't really know what to expect, but I do know that everyone will have to deal with it. It's not like one team's dealing with it and one team's not. So the team that overcomes adversity the best is usually the one that's successful. So it's the times we're in, everyone's trying to do what they can to help. And, we'll see when it comes what it'll be like. I couldn't tell you.
Jason Leisure.
Nick, is learning the new personnel, the new receivers and everything, is that a bigger job for you than learning the offense? And how are you doing coming along in terms of learning all their nuances and where they like the ball and things like that?
I'd say it's just different. I'd say that, whenever you're learning an offense, and there are a lot of similarities from this offense, but there's also a lot of differences, and that's just sort of how it is. You want to know why the coach is calling the plays, and coaches have different coaching points. Everywhere I've been, we've ran, there's sometimes, similar plays you run, but each coach has different points that he makes on a play, how he wants it run. So then it's calibrated in that in your mind when you play, like, okay, this is what we're thinking here. And then when it comes to players, it's just getting used to like you said, I'm getting used to how different guys run their routes, how they catch the ball, what they like, what they don't like. And that's something that I'm learning every single day. But the guys are working hard and, are really making plays. So it makes it easier to get up to speed faster, but, still a process.
Well, Stacey Dales.
Hey, Nick, I guess piggybacking on what Jason just said, how do you expedite learning the idiosyncrasies of so many different receivers? So you have an Allen Robinson versus a Ted Ginn, totally two different guys, right? How do you expedite learning those idiosyncrasies? And then the second question I have for you is, what do you think the strengths of this offense will be?
I think it's just every time, every time I have a rep, obviously I'm getting to see the guys' routes. Every time we do routes on the air, I'm getting to see the guys' routes. When I'm not throwing, I'm watching the other quarterbacks throw and trying to watch other receivers. If we stay after practice and throw and I'm not throwing, I'm watching the receivers to see how they run their routes, to see how they're catching the ball. So just continue to build a database in my mind. And then what was the second part of your question?
What do you think the strengths of this offense, every year an offense is different. What do you think the strengths of this group's, now that you've seen everybody, will be this season?
You know what, that's a good question that we'll just have to wait and see.
Okay.
That was a good one, though.
All right, we got time for two more. We're going to go Dan Weeder and Kevin Fishbane.
Nick, wondered what your early impressions of Anthony Miller are as a receiver?
I think Anthony Miller is a really talented guy. I'm excited to see him, play in person, and I've watched cut-ups of him play. He's really, obviously really quick, really fast. He's built, so he's got some power to him. And he does a really good job with his routes and, winning man coverage and catch. I mean, the dude has a really big catching radius. So I think it's one of those things where he continues to develop, and I'm really excited to see what he can be.
Kevin Fishbane.
Hey, Nick, being a veteran in this league, I'm wondering what you think of another veteran in terms of Ted Ginn. And what are some of the things you see from him that kind of tell you he's been in this league for such a long time?
He's always wanting to gain knowledge. And if he's not sure on something, he's going to ask you right away. He's going to make sure he knows whether what he's doing on a play, making sure it's correct, or if he wants to know what we're thinking as a QB, coming to us and say, hey, what are you thinking? Those are big things. He's not shy of that. The way he works, I mean, he's always going full speed. Every time he makes a catch, he finishes. That's the thing you see. I mean, the guy's played in this league a long time. And I remember, when I was a kid, when he was at Ohio State, just balling. So he's been an extremely talented player ever since he touched the football. So the way he practices is the big thing. The dude just has a motor. He finishes, he jogs back, and he wants more. And that's really reminds me, like when I practiced with Darren Sproles, a guy who'd been in the league a long time. Darren would do the same thing. he would finish to the end zone. He'd finish, he'd jog back, he'd be ready to go. These guys are so talented. They're great leaders with how they practice. There's a reason they do what they do on game day, and it starts on the practice field.
All right, thank you.
The Rewind Sports 60.
Hey, Cordero, how's it going?
What's up, boss?
Not much. Yeah, obviously, making this transition to practicing with the running backs more frequently. What are your desires for playing that position, and what do you think that can do to help unlock your full potential as an offensive playmaker?
I mean, first of all, I said it each and every year. I mean, I'm not one of those guys you just label as a wide receiver, kick returner, a running back. I just go out and do whatever the coach tells me to do, and whatever he needs done, I'm gonna go out and do it in the best of my ability.
Hey, Cordero, what impact has Dave Ragone had on getting you up to speed at the running back position?
I mean, me and Coach Rags, we spend every day, probably twice a day, just trying to catch up on this offense. Playing running back, I've been doing it my whole life, but just trying to play it full time, it's something new. So it's like me learning a whole new offense over again. So, I just take time out with him each and every day. Him and Coach Charles, just trying to learn this offense, not just how to run the ball, how to pass, protect, and just pick up blocks and just do everything.
Mark Potash.
Hey, Cordero, what's the best way to illustrate or just express your excitement about Matt Nagy having a fine appreciation for what you can do on a football field?
I mean, anytime my number's called, I'm always excited. But, just being out with David and Tariq, just working with those guys each and every day, man, it's just fun, man. It's different for me, from being in the receiver room my whole career. Just going to the running back room. So I'm just trying to pick those guys' brain. I told those guys, man, I'm a veteran guy, but I'm learning something new for the first time. So I'm just trying to learn from you guys.
Mark Grody.
Cordero, when you are used as a running back, and I saw you do both today, but do you prefer using your power running inside or your speed on the outside?
I mean, I'm just trying to get better, just running in between the tackles and just running it, period, man. And all my career, I've been running outside a lot, so that comes natural to me. So I'm just trying to run in the A and the B gap. So I'm just trying to learn that. So it's all new to me.
Pat Finley.
Hey, Cordero, I'm curious how Mitch looks to you and if he seems any different than he was last year.
No, he actually looks like a whole new player this year, man. It's just I just see it in his eyes each and every day, man. He's got that fire on him. So, that's what we need out of our quarterbacks, man. That competition, it brings the best out of everybody. So I'm excited to see him and Nick can do, compete for that job. So it's gonna be a good year.
Adam Hogue.
When it comes to the pass protection at the running back spot, it's a little different than blocking as a wide receiver, obviously. Just how's that going so far?
I mean, it's different, but it's football, man. It's something we've been doing our whole life, so it's gonna come, man. It's gonna take time, and for a fact, I don't have it down right now, so that's why I keep spending time with Coach Rags each and every day. So just keep learning at it and just trying to master at my craft.
Jane Weeder.
Cordero, the closest you came to coming close to playing full-time running back was a couple years in New England. That stretch there late in the year when you did that, what were the things that you grew in during that very short stretch where you were in the backfield a lot more?
I mean, first of all, you got to trust in your offensive lineman. A guy as me, a receiver, I didn't know anything about that, and you just got to trust in those big guys up front that's going to get the job done for you. You just run between them, and they're gonna handle the rest for you.
JJ Stankovitz.
Cordero, for someone who does not play running back in the NFL, what's it like being met by Akeem Hicks in the backfield?
It's not good, man. I done met with him these last 2 days in full practice, full pads. He's a monster, man. He's one of the best I done seen. Just not saying it because he's on my team. He's an animal, man, and I wouldn't want to block him. So I just want to run the ball, not block him.
Jane Weeder.
Cordero, you've played with a lot of different quarterbacks during your career. Regardless of who wins this starting job, what do you need out of your starting quarterback, and what do you want out of whoever wins this job?
I mean, that's not what I want. It's it's what those two guys want for themselves. You know, I can sit here and say a lot of things, but reality is those two guys, they're the ones competing for that spot. You know, I don't want to be in that spot. You know, I'm at a new position, so I'm just trying to worry about myself at running back and just trying to do the best I can do.
Mark Grody.
Hey, Cordell, when you said that Trubisky looks like a whole new player, how is he different this year from last year when you say that he's a whole new player?
It's only my second year with him, but I could just tell, you know, been in the league a couple of years, man, just seeing the way he's grown, you know, from year 1 to year 2 with me, and the way he handling things now. I feel like he's been a more leader. You know, last year I ain't feel like he was that guy, but this year I feel like he's taking over. He wants everybody to know he's that guy, and we can come to him when we need something, and he's doing that. He's doing a hell of a job of it.
Pat Finley.
Hey, Cordero, do you think this running back stuff will have any impact on your special teams time? On
Nope.
how much you play?
Not at all, man. Coach Tays already done said that, so whatever I do at running back ain't got nothing to do with special teams. So
he's not going to give you up?
Oh no, Tays ain't gonna never let that happen.
Deion Miller.
You mentioned how Mitch has looked. Obviously, you have some familiarity there, but what are your first impressions of Nick Foles and how he's come in here? What have you observed about a guy like him just coming to a new team during this time?
I mean, obviously Nick's been in the league a long time, and first thing when I saw him, like, he's big. I thought I was big, but I was like, he's a big human. But Nick's been in the league a lot of years, so he's smart, man. He knows the offense. I feel like he picked the offense up within a week we've been here. It just the way he handled himself as a man, you know, like I was saying with Mitch, that leader role, you know, and Mitch, he's one of those guys, and you know that's what we need.
Dan Weeder.
Cordell, this is going to be a different year in terms of the game day atmosphere. Number one, what is your curiosity for going in and playing games in front of an empty stadium? And when's the last time you can recall playing in front of a crowd that really doesn't exist, or a small crowd?
First thing I thought was who I'm going to throw the football to. So it's going to be the hardest thing to me. So I'm trying to plan it out because it's going to hurt me, man. And, you know, I'm gonna have to throw the ball. You know, I've been doing it for a lot of years. I'm gonna have to throw it out there in the stands. No matter who's out there, somebody's gonna have to go get it. So, but the last time I can say is maybe junior college, man. We didn't have a lot of fans out there, so it's gonna feel like a junior college game out there.
All right, we got time for one more, Cordero. We're gonna go Pat Finley to close it out.
Cordero, I'm curious what this whole experience has been like for you with the coronavirus testing, with the protocols, with staying away. Did you consider opting out? Or what were your concerns in general about playing football when there are not a lot of other things going on in life right now?
Oh, man, of course not, man. I mean, I love this game. You know, I love it a lot. You know, this is something I've been doing since I was little. You know, I didn't think one time about opting out. You know, and you know, I talked to my girlfriend. You know, I had to talk to my family, and I know the right thing to do for me is play ball. You know. It's something I love, you know. It's something I've been, like I said, been doing for a long time. So, you know, the way Chicago Bears handling this situation, how we got our own little bubble, man, and it's amazing. So, we just focus on what guys do when they leave here, man. So that's gonna be the biggest part. Just not trying to be out, be in these streets. Just go home to your family. If you don't have family, just trying to play a game, just killing time.
All right, appreciate the time, Cordell.
Thank you, man. Thank y'all.
The Rewind Sports 60.
Hey, Mitch, I want to ask, tomorrow the group of Chicago athletes you were a part of, along with Sam Acho, open up the food mart on the west side of Chicago. Why was that important for you to be a part of, and what's tomorrow going to mean for you being a part of it?
Yeah, I think it's important. I mean, just getting a bunch of athletes together, especially in the Chicago area, to come together for a positive cause. And it's not just doing stuff on social media, it's actually getting together with the community to try to make a positive difference. And this is something that we felt was very important to get down in one of the neighborhoods that needed help. Not an area where they can get they weren't getting any groceries, let alone fresh food. So we helped this organization to tear down a liquor store and build a fresh market in the area that really needs some fresh foods. And I think it's going to make a big difference in that community, and that's something that we want to do. And hopefully it's a trickle effect throughout the city that we can get going. But we just want to make a positive impact, come together, and make a difference in the city.
Deion Miller.
Mitch, Cordero just said that you have looked like a different player this year, like a different quarterback. In what ways do you feel different? Are you understanding what's being asked of you in a different way, even this early in?
Yeah, I think so. I think, like you said, I know what is being asked of me and what I need to do. I think I'm bringing a little more edge to the offense, a little more sense of urgency, and I'm just trying to go out there and make great decisions and be a spark for this offense. I just think we can continue to bring great energy to practice and be very supportive in the quarterback room, competition or not. We need to make sure this offense is getting better, and that's all I'm trying to do day in and day out. And for him to say that means a lot to me. I'm just trying to do my job, and I feel like I worked on my craft this offseason. So for it to show up this early, it's nice for your teammates to notice that. But we just got to keep working, keep pulling together, and make sure we're improving as an offense.
Pat Finley.
And Mitch, what is the root of that edge? Is it the work you put in the offseason? Is it that they brought in another quarterback? Is it the whole thing?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of everything. Just realizing this is the last year of my contract, being hurt last year and not playing up to my own expectations. I think going 8-8, having a quarterback competition, and just the desire to want to go out and continue to chase greatness. It's a combination of all those things. So just at the end of the day, just keeping the perspective that we're grateful to be out here, be healthy, and play the game of football with a bunch of guys that you love. And just bring that great attitude. But we're still out here trying to be great, and I'm trying to bring that edge. And you're just playing each play like it's your last, So I think having that sense of urgency and trying to maximize your potential day in and day out, I think that's where that edge is coming from.
Jim Weeder.
Mitch, now that you have the opportunity to apply your offseason growth in a practice setting, where specifically are you feeling growth and comfort? And then just an aside, in 7-on-7 today, there was a couple sloppy center exchanges. What was your diagnosis on what went wrong on a couple of those?
Yeah, I would just say I can feel a little more in my footwork, just being ready to throw, whether it's being able to anticipate a throw and get it out sooner, or waiting that extra second for it to develop but still getting it out on time, if that makes sense. So either being able to adjust either earlier or later within throws, looking on safeties, and just making great decisions and knowing where you can go with the football. And then with the snaps, it's just a thing when you're swapping centers in and out, just knowing who's at center, where you got to put your hands, and making sure those exchanges are clean. And we'll clean that up with practice. We'll be fine.
Kevin Fishman.
Hey, Mitch, I was wondering what your impressions were of that one-on-one drill you guys were working on down by the goal line. Obviously very competitive between the two sides, just in terms of how you think you did, and then just working with some of those tight ends and receivers.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, one-on-ones, we've been waiting a long time to do one-on-ones, offense versus defense, because we couldn't do that before in the past week with OTAs and stuff. So just getting down in the red zone, it was just fun to see those guys compete. We got a rejuvenated tight end room, so we got a lot of size and athleticism down there, and it's cool to see those guys go up and get the football and make plays down in the red zone. So we're going to need them to do that a lot this year, and you just love to see the competitiveness. Some guys bringing juice and energy to the practice field, and we're just going to have that in the days going forward as well.
Colin Kane.
Hey, Mitch, when you talk about that rejuvenated tight ends room, what have been your impressions of Jimmy Graham now that you've gotten on the field with him for a little bit?
Yeah, Jimmy's been awesome. I mean, you look at him and he's just a specimen, his size and strength. But once you get to know him, I think you get to see how smart he is, how cerebral he is about the game and his experience. And I mean, there's a reason like he's been around for this long, and a guy like him and Ted Ginn, it's so crucial for, I think, our young receivers and tight ends to watch them, see their practice habits, see how they see the game, and just to to try to absorb that knowledge and experience that they've carried with them. And the way they take the practice field is definitely contagious. And I think our young guys can learn a lot from them, looking up to those guys and seeing how they practice every day.
JJ Stankovitz.
It's kind of along the lines of a younger guy here. What have been your early impressions of Darnell Mooney and the kind of skill set he has?
Yeah, he's quick. He gets out of his cuts really well, and he's picking up the offense really quickly. So, I mean, as a rookie, as a quarterback, you love to see a rookie picking up the offense as quick as he is. We're putting him in different spots, seeing how much he can handle, and he's doing a great job just separating himself and running the routes and being on the quarterback's timing. And he can fly a little bit as well. So we love to see that down the field, pass attacking. And he's doing a great job. So he's just going to keep making plays. We're going to keep giving him opportunities, but he's done a great job picking it up and showing the speed he's got.
Josh Friedman.
Hey, Mitch. Nick was telling us just how productive the relationship has been between you guys so far. What has it been like getting to know him on a personal level, and how would you describe the relationship?
It's been great. It's been awesome. We got a great quarterback room, Nick, Tyler, and I, and just getting to know Nick and everything he's about. I mean, we're teammates first. Competition aside, we got to have each other's back, and it's been supportive in the quarterback room and on the field, just pushing each other, making sure that we're both getting better as individuals and as a quarterback room. So it's been nothing but positive. It's been great to get to know him and learn about him and his family. And he's been a great teammate this far. And I think just us helping each other and pushing each other, it's been all positive.
Adam Johns.
Hey, Mitch. In that final team drill today, it looked like it was one snap in, one snap out for you and Nick. Well, what's that like as you go through this in terms of finding a rhythm as you guys rotate snaps?
Yeah, I think it's just an adjustment you have to make. I think obviously switching in and out, and we have the situation changes throughout practice. So as a quarterback, you're just going in, you're okay, I'm going in for one play, but it's second and 5, second and goal, or it's third down and I'm only coming in for one third down play. So it's a little different. But you just got to know the situation, know what's asked of you within the play as a quarterback, and just go out there and do your job. Sometimes you're just going out there for one play and giving a handoff today, or you're going out there and trying to get the ball in the end zone with a pass. But I think it's just an adjustment, and I think the coaches will tweak that. It hasn't been like that in the past days. Just today we were switching a little more on and off with it being red zone. But it'll be good to get on the film, make corrections, and just keep getting better. But just a minor adjustment that you got to get used to.
Caitlin Sharkey.
Mitch, Coach Nagy was talking about getting back to that passion, not being so dry, maybe even some of the trash talk. How can that help the team? And do you think that is something that maybe you guys lacked a little bit last year? Was some of that passion?
Yeah, I think at times you can see that. And Coach always preaches we want to be competitive, not combative. So whenever it's offense versus defense drill, you're talking a little smack, having fun with it, but at the end of the day, we're a family, and we got to make sure we're pushing each other and making sure both sides are getting better. But I definitely think the passion, energy, and then juice is a word a lot of people use, that we just got to bring that every day. And whether it's picking your teammates up after a good or a bad play, celebrating a good play, getting back to the huddle, breaking the huddle, getting in and out, and just having fun, loving the game of football and enjoying every single day, because we truly are grateful to be out there, especially in the middle of all this pandemic, just to be able to go out there and play football with the guys. It's a special opportunity. So I think we just got to continue to have more fun with it and bring that energy and excitement. And Coach Nagy definitely sparks that. And we just need more guys on offense. I think the defense does a great job of doing that. I think the offense could pick it up and celebrate our good plays and just bring a little more edge about ourselves. So it's my job to spark that as well.
Adam Hogue.
Hey, Mitch, getting back to Cordarrelle's comments, he specifically mentioned your leadership, and he was pretty honest that, last year he didn't necessarily see you as that guy, but now he sees you taking over. So I'm just curious, did you sense that last year? And I guess what have you learned? Because it's not like you weren't trying to be a leader last year. What did you learn, I guess, about leadership and what you needed to do better that, a teammate is now seeing that come out of you?
Yeah, I think more it's just developing a relationship with every single guy on every level. So I think me and Cordarrelle are a lot closer this year than we were last year. And then as far as leadership, I think for me, that teaches me I got to make sure I'm reaching every single guy in this offense. I'm spending individual time with them, and I'm also getting in front of the group and making sure they're hearing my voice and getting all the guys on the same page. But for me, at the end of the day, it's just being myself and making sure the guys know how much I care about them and that we're getting better and everybody's on the same page. But yeah, you just got to influence the group and make sure we're all headed in the right direction. And I'm always looking at how I can be a better leader and what I need to improve on. So just having those conversations with the guys and and talking to every single one of them, there's always things that you can improve on with your leadership. So to hear that from him and just having those conversations, I know in what ways I can step up and make a difference. And I think that's just taking more control, being more vocal, and been talking to the guys. So I think it's been positive so far.
All right, we've got time for two more. We're going to close them out with Pat and Dion.
Mitch, when you talk about the edge that you have, but
got to come up. Sorry, go ahead.
Mitch, what's up? When you talk about the edge that you have, did you have that in college in your quarterback competitions? Is this a new feeling, a new attitude? Kind of where'd it come from?
I've always had like an edge about me. I guess it's just I have to talk about it more now because of the situation, being in a competition, coming off a off year last year, I guess. And there's just that sense of urgency that 8-8 and being average is just not acceptable around here. I mean, nobody's happy about what happened going on with last season. But I'm a competitor. I love to win. There's always been that edge whenever I step on the field, high school, college, or even now. But I guess now is more of a heightened sense, I guess you would say, just being in the midst of all this competition and coming off the off year. But I just want to show the guys and kind of be more of a spark to that offense because, like you said, practice can be a little stagnant sometimes. But you got to have that edge. You got to bring that competitiveness about you every single drill. So. That's what I'm trying to bring this year, and we got to take it to a new level because last year it just wasn't acceptable, and we can't be the same as last year. So I think everyone needs to step it up, myself included, and that's that passion, that edge, and we're taking it to the next level.
All right, Dion Miller, close things out.
Mitch, have you ever played a game without fans in the stands? Have you thought about what it will feel like and how disappointing? We knew it was a possibility, but disappointing that fans won't be able to be at Soldier Field at least to start the season.
Yeah, we're definitely disappointed. There's going to be no fans. I don't think I've ever played a game in front of 0 fans before, so it'll be interesting. I think it'll be weird because we kind of talked about before the possibility just being able to hear ourselves and hear the defense. So I think it'll be an adjustment, just something we'll have to get used to. But usually when you step on the field, you go tunnel vision anyways. So it'll be adjustment. We're definitely going to miss our fans in that home field advantage, but we'll make the most of it. And whenever everybody can come back, we're just hoping everyone stays safe in the meantime.
TheRewindSports60.com. Relax, reset, rejuvenate. Go to a link right now to restart your life. TheRewindSports60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sports 60.
The Rewind
Sports 60.
Sports 60.
From the city of big shoulders, the jewel of the Midwest, comes a sports show that's one of a kind. From iconic players to iconic stadiums to iconic teams, This is my kind of town. Chicago! And the Rewind Sports 60 is my kind of show. From Air Jordan to Sweetness to Papa Bear Hallis, this city works hard, but plays even harder. Danny Carlino and Jerry Riles bring you the Rewind Sports 60. Live. The Rewind Sports 60 starts now.
What's up, Chicago? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Rewind Sports 60. We're streaming live on Facebook, broadcasting from the world's famous WCPT 820 AM studios in the beautiful, beautiful city of Chicago, in the outstanding neighborhood of Jefferson Park. This is another edition of the Rewind Sports 60. It is the fastest hour in sports conversation, and let's get right to it, ladies and gentlemen. You love him. He wasn't a cardboard figure over there at the friendly confines. He wasn't a cardboard figure. What?
Anywhere.
But ladies and gentlemen, he's live. And that's interesting. When you hear with people, hey, you got a live person on the other end of the phone. When you make a phone call, right? I go, well, I hope that person's not dead. Of course not. But ladies and gentlemen, he's alive and thriving. Here in WCPT, the studios, he's known as the Marvelous One. He's Dan Marver.
Hey.
What's up, Marver? How are you?
How you doing, Jerry? I wish I was a real person in the stands, but that's looks like that's a ways off. And they're really doing a good job with the crowd noise now. I think they've refined that, so that it sounds like there are people there, which is kind of cool. And it looks like, things are going well for baseball, except for obviously the Cardinals and now the Reds. It's just kind of sad, but we'll see what happens. There's a lot of 7-inning doubleheaders that are going to be. They may have to go for 5-inning tripleheaders eventually. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But the Cubs ran into Josh Hader, and their little streak ended. They've lost 3 in a row. But the Sox, played the Cardinals. Cardinals came out of COVID hell, and they're playing again. So Cubs and Sox play this coming weekend each other.
Yeah.
Should be fun.
It should be fun. He said.
Yeah.
We're just getting everything together regarding the studios. It is the fastest hour in sports conversation. Talk about some exciting baseball. Not incredible baseball, but some exciting baseball. I'm not really a big fan, especially after the Sox got swept.
Mm-hmm. Of the 7 innings.
The 7 innings. I'm not a really big fan of the 7-inning, double headers, but I get it and I understand it. But you know me. And if you don't know me, you will know me. I love what the Cubs are doing, despite what happened this afternoon. Right?
Yeah.
I love what they're doing. They're just buckling down and playing baseball and, going day in and day out, and they're taking care of themselves as far as COVID is concerned. They're doing what they're expected to do, and they're doing what they're supposed to do. But over on the south side, and and everyone who knows me have been following the Rewind Sports 60 over the past few years, and particularly and especially since Ricky Renteria went from the north side to the south side, I haven't been a really big fan of his. I have not really been a big fan of Ricky Renteria. And I got to tell you, would you agree with me, Marvelous One, that the White Sox have probably one of the best offensive juggernaut in a team over on the south side with all the bats that they have from top to bottom?
Well, they showed it today. They got 4 homers in a row, so that's pretty good.
Speaking of which, 4 homers in a row. Do we have that soundbite? Paul Javari is filling in for Devin Tingle, our producer. Paul, do you have that soundbite of the? Can you play that for us, NBC Sports Chicago?
Maybe.
You got it?
You got it right in front of you.
Where is it?
0816, right on your array.
Oh, man.
Well, we'll talk about Moncada, Grandal, Abreu, and Jimenez.
Yeah. Where is it? Where is it? Paul!
Right in front of you on your array. Should be 0816, Sox hit 4 homers.
I don't even see it, man.
Well, we summarized it.
Yeah, we did summarize it, but it was Jason Benetti and Steve Stone on the call back to back to back to back jacks, man. I mean, they were jacking it. Where is it, Paul?
Yeah, and the exit velocities were 105, 108.
Way over here.
112 and 101. All of them were over 100 exit velocities. Yeah.
Field, look out, Goose, it's a 3-run shot.
You could take it to the bank. He was going to get a fastball after spiking 2 balls in the dirt.
Neither did Yaz. Another absolute blitzkrieg.
Boom!
5-0 Sox. Let's go grooving on a Sunday afternoon.
A couple were, he's certainly that.
And twice this week. Oh boy, that one a line drive to left field and bring him home. 3 in a row. Abreu has the last one, and Tim's having a party. In the air, left field. Eloy Jimenez to the line and gone again. 4 in a row and a 7-0 lead.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
A very tough debut.
That was incredible.
He's talking about tough debut. Was the first appearance in the MLB for the pitcher Ramirez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but that was incredible, and it was a great call, and it was a great burst of offensive punch for the Chicago White Sox. And we know the potential that this lineup has and the threat that they are on any given day. Unfortunately, it's not consistent. And, of course, when you win the game, you're pretty much going to give the credit to the players because they're playing their tails off, they're doing what they're expected to do, and they get the results that you're looking for. When they lose, in particular, getting swept, who swept them? Tell me. Help me out here. Marvelous, who swept the White Sox?
Who swept the White Sox?
Yeah, come on.
When?
Was it the Cardinals?
No. I don't believe so.
Who swept the doubleheader yesterday?
Oh, the Cardinals yesterday.
Yeah, it was the Cardinals who swept the doubleheader yesterday. Now, weren't the Cardinals the team with the problems as far as Corona was concerned?
And that's why Roel Ramirez was pitching, because they ran out of pitchers who were all sick.
How do you get swept by a team? They got 20 people with COVID, and you get swept by them, and you're supposed to be a juggernaut of an offensive team.
They were relaxed, the Cardinals. They all came up in rental cars.
Come on, man. Hey, listen, let me tell you something. The White Sox, we talked about this last week with Gordon Whitmire and said, hey, listen, this is the training wheel season for both the Cubs and the Sox. You got the training wheels on, man. You zoom down that sidewalk. You zoom down the sidewalk. Because next season, if everything goes accordingly and we get back to some normalcy, you got to take the training wheels off and get down to business. 162 games. Right. You got 60 games here. You got the training wheels on. You let the little kids fly. You let them go. There's no reason on God's green earth, in my opinion, that the White Sox should be getting swept by the St. Louis Cardinals, who only played 5 games.
Yeah. Well,
5. They were 2 and 3.
Yeah, they were 2 and 3 going.
They were 2 and 3. You playing 5 games, and you can't even you let them come here and you get swept? Are you kidding me?
Well, that's because they were playing high school rules, 7-inning games.
There should have been a slaughter rule with that offense that the White Sox have. They just cranked out back-to-back jacks today.
Yeah.
There's no reason for the White Sox. That team that they have over there, they should average at least 5 or 6 runs a game. Mm-hmm. 5 or 6 runs a game, Ricky Renteria. So when the team wins, when they win, the credit goes to the players. When they lose, Ricky Renteria, you got to look at yourself in the mirror and go, what the hell did I didn't do? Well, what did I do to screw this thing up? Listen. The only thing you have to do, this is all that he has to do, Marvelous.
You're right. Well, I mean, with 16 teams making the playoffs,
listen,
they can get in.
Listen, I don't know if we're going to get through this season, and there's a lot of baseball still left, especially if they're the St. Louis Cardinals, right? I don't know if we're going to get through the season, but if we do, and we get to the postseason, and we can muster up some things, I swear to you, this is the time that you will see the Cubs and the Sox. You should see the Cubs and the Sox in the series.
And the Sox are 11-11. And a 500 record might be good enough to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, but I don't know how far we're going to go with this guy, with this manager. What the heck is wrong with him? Yeah, listen, the only thing he has to do, Marvelous, is right up to... And I wasn't even trying to get on Ricky Renteria. That wasn't even my job today. What only thing this guy has to do is goes, hey, you know how every week I give you guys a lineup, right? Mm-hmm. I give you guys a lineup. I type up the lineup. I go, okay, who's we got the guests on? Our guest today, we got Tom Dreesen, a great comedian, entertainer from the Chicagoland area. He's going to be joining us later in the broadcast. Sam Acho is standing by in the on-deck circle. He's got a lot to talk about as well. But I send you guys the lineup, the rundown, every week. I send it to you. This is what we're going to discuss. This is what we're going to do. This is when we're going to take the breaks. The only thing that Ricky Renneria needs to do is write up the lineup card.
Well, I would have lost a bet. I would have bet that Boylan would have lasted longer than Renneria.
Oh, jeez, that's another one. The only thing he has to do is write up the lineup card. That's all he has to do. Sit back in the dugout, cross his legs, and wait for the game to end. That's all he has to do. He can't even get that right. He can't. Only thing, and listen, if the guys aren't hitting, if they're not hitting, i.e. in a doubleheader yesterday, only thing he has to do is go, hey, wait a minute, guys, it's the 5th inning. We're only playing 7 innings here. What I need you to do is just do what you're paid to do, swing the bat, knock the ball out of the ballpark, and we can go home.
Well, occasionally he has to make some pitching moves, too.
Listen, I know pitching and defense wins championship. Right now, we're not trying for a championship. We're just trying to win a freaking game, and we're trying to split a doubleheader if we can't sweep the doubleheader. So if I got the firepower of what this guy has, I know that there have been injuries. I know that TA has been out. I know that these guys are laboring. I know Lori Garcia is out with the ligament in his thumb or whatever. I get all of that. But let me tell you something. You got those bats in there. This kid, Luis Robert, you got these guys. Dude, just tell them, hey, listen, only thing I need for you to do is get one hit today. One hit.
I think they're going to be okay. They got the Tigers and the Cubs and the Pirates and the Royals.
Hey, you're not listening to me.
Okay.
You're not listening to me.
It doesn't matter who they play.
Listen, it doesn't matter who they play. You're right. It matters who's in the dugout and what he's doing. And I think Ricky Renneria overthinks. I think he's overthinking situations. He wants to make himself feel viable. He wants to make himself feel like he is needed, that he's worthwhile, and that he knows what he's doing. And I'm not taking anything away from Ricky Renneria, but I still haven't, the jury's still out for me as far as his managerial skills and what he's capable of doing on the major league level. And I'm afraid in this shortened season, in my opinion, the Sox, offensively, they can stand toe-to-toe with anybody. They should be able to stand toe-to-toe to anybody. And if your pitching is not up to snuff, I'm telling you, this team is equipped to score at least 5 to 6 runs a game, in my opinion. He said.
You're right.
What do you think, Marvelous?
I mean, obviously, they have probably the most potent offensive lineup of any team right now. I mean, and so much youth. There's nothing to say about that except for that there's a lot. It's a bright future. So hopefully they can someday get a real manager.
Well, hopefully someday they will get a manager. He's Dan Marver, the Marvelous One. I'm Jerry Riles. Lauren Cox has the day off. She is on assignment. We'll get a chance to chat with her next week, that's for sure. You want to give us a call. Our number is 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. We go to our TR60 hotline, and we welcome this gentleman back to the program. He is a friend of the program, ladies and gentlemen. He is currently, and he'll correct me if not, but he's currently a free agent in the National Football League. Last, he laced him up for your beloved Chicago Bears, linebacker. He's on our TR60 hotline, and he's helping people out in the meantime between snaps, off season, Corona, and of course, whatever else he's doing, he's helping folks out. He's on our TR60 hotline. He's Sam Acho. Sam, how are you, buddy?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, you said I'd correct you if I needed to. So last I laced them up was with Tampa Bay. So I was with Tampa Bay there in the last season.
That's true.
But man, I'm so glad to be on with you guys. So like you said, training, COVID, everything, and also got a book coming out called "Let the World See You: How to Be Real in a World Full of Fakes." That book is available at SamAchoBook.com. But I am so glad to be on with you.
Well, you know what? I knew you were with Tampa Bay, but we're not really thinking about them. We don't really care about them, especially because that incredible, the guy they call the GOAT as far as the National Football League is concerned, is down there now. We want to remember you in the orange and blue. We want to remember Sam Acho kicking some butt for the beloved Chicago Bears. But hey, man, you're doing some stuff outside the gridiron, off the field, man, and in the neighborhoods. And the last time we had a chance to talk with you, it was probably a week after, where you and a selective group of individuals, some current professional athletes and some community leaders on the West Side, you went over and explained this and help us out here. Yeah, you went and you guys purchased a liquor store, and then you turned it into a grocery store?
Yeah, so you're right, 100% right. So last we talked, me and a lot of the pro athletes on the different Chicago teams, so guys like Jonathan Taves, Mr. Trubisky, Malcolm Subban, Jason Hayward, Jason Kidness, Ryan Artudiacono, and so on and so forth, got together to purchase a liquor store in what was called a food desert on the west side of Chicago, right? 2 grocery stores, 17 liquor stores in a half-mile radius, food desert. And so we purchased that with the intent to build something, right? Or at least to start something, to build or start a food mart. And actually this Wednesday is going to be the soft opening of the food mart that we were dreaming of. And so what that looks like is going to be a temporary, almost like open air concept for the summer as we continue to work through permits, et cetera, and build a permanent edifice down the line.
No, that sounds fantastic. And you guys are in the Austin community?
That's right. We're in the Austin community on the west side of Chicago. We just noticed that place, like the south side, like certain places in Chicago specifically, had a need. And so something didn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
It did not feel right being in that neighborhood and seeing what we saw, so we wanted to do something about it.
Now, you know what? I'm very happy and ecstatic that you guys were able to get out there and begin to make a difference, make a change. Kind of like starting to build a foundation out there to change the culture and the environment, the neighborhood. But unfortunately, Sam, maybe a couple weeks after all of that transpired and you started your transitioning, there was and it's very well documented, and you're certainly aware of it, but there were, unfortunately, looting and some rioting going on pretty much throughout the city of Chicago, but in particular downtown on the Magnificent Mile, and then it branched out toward the west side. Was the store or the area hit with these protesters and the looting that was taking place a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, so this specific area wasn't hit with the recent looting, and I think just for clarity's sake, because I know when I saw that, I was angry.
Yeah.
Angry. What is going on? Why are we doing this? And for clarity's sake, some people think of rioting and looting and protesting, and they put them all in the same basket. And from what I've heard and what I've understood, this is in a very different basket than the protesting that was going on months and really weeks and months ago. And so anyways, no, the liquor store that's turning into a food mart wasn't hit. But obviously people's hearts are still not in the right place, whether you are a looter or the people who are oppressing the people who are looting, right? There's still a divide, a loss of trust.
Yeah, you know what, Sam Wacho, former Chicago Bear linebacker, current free agent, and community activist on our TR60 hotline. Real quick, let me ask you this question, because we understand, what's going on and what needs to take place in this city to move away from the violence and the crime and build, education and businesses and build up neighborhoods. But unfortunately, the recent riots that we just experienced and witnessed here in this city, I was kind of disturbed. And I don't know if you saw this soundbite, and if you did, love to hear your thoughts on it. But there was a young lady out there who said that, you know what? We need to get out there. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but she basically said we need to get out there and loot and destroy. She didn't use the word destroy. I'm using it. But in essence, she said it's a part of reparations, because this is what we're owed as a people. And if you're not going to give it to us, we're going to take it. And like you said, it was disturbing. It made you angry. But this is the mentality of some of the young folks that are out there saying, hey, we're due and we're owed. And if you're not going to give it to us, you're not going to listen to us, we're going to take it. What are your thoughts behind that? Did you hear that comment?
Yeah, so, by no means do I condone or will I ever condone looting, right? To me, it makes no sense. But what I will say is that sometimes when you see rioting, you see looting, you see frustration, I would say these are symptoms of a bigger problem. A prime example, I talk about this in my book, right? Let the World See You. I have this deal called the exercise-induced allergy. What would happen when I would play is after exercising so much or getting my blood level so high or whatever, all of a sudden I'd start itching, almost breaking out into hives. These were symptoms of a problem going on inside of me. My body was saying, hey, slow down. There's too much going on. Get some water, get some rest, right? And so the symptoms of that allergy, of that exercise, was this hive, right? This itching, these bumps. In the same way, the symptoms that we see, looting, rioting, protesting, etc., they're symptoms of a bigger problem. There are people who have been saying, hey, I've been oppressed for a really long time. You say get education, get schools, get food. I've been trying to, and I've been getting denied over and over and over again. And so by no means do I condone the looting, but what I am saying is let's also look at what's causing the looting. Let's look at the neighborhoods. Let's take a drive through some of the neighborhoods that have been segregated, right? Whether it's the Federal Housing Administration, whether it's just happenstance, right? Chicago's the most segregated city in the United States. This is the Chicago, right? Like top 3 cities segregated. That's a problem. And so we cannot continue ignoring problems and think there's not going to be any kind of people who are upset or frustrated, right? These people are upset. They're frustrated. Now, as I said from the very beginning, I was angry seeing some of this, the looting going on. People, why? This is not the answer. But at the same time, we also must look at what are the root causes of these symptomatic, responses to the state of our city.
Hey, Sam, this is Dan in the studio here. I see your book's coming out in October, Let the World See You, How to Be Real in a World Full of Fakes. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it's available for pre-order now. You can go to samachobooks.com. And the title of the book, like I said, is Let the World See You. But in all reality, this book is for anybody who, kind of wants to try and wrestle with some of these topics we're talking about. How do you be genuine?
Mm-hmm.
How do you be authentic? How do you actually be real with situations instead of just being sophomoric in our thinking and saying, well, these rioters, they're just mad and they're just angry. No, what's the thing behind the thing? What's the reason behind it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, just maybe, if we stepped up and we said, I'm going to be real with the situation and look at some of the implicit bias, some of the explicit bias, some of the overt racism, or maybe just some of the unconscious decisions we make. Maybe there's a better answer if I can be real with me, not just ignore what's going on in my heart. So this book is for anybody who, has been in their shell, maybe been hiding a little bit, and wants to know the joy that you get from being real with you and being real with others.
Yeah, I was going to mention, you were also involved with this infectious disease emergency response. The NFL is supposed to start in 4 weeks. What do you think is going to happen? The teams don't seem to really have a plan in place in most cases, correct?
Well, no. So since we talked last, the NFL actually has got their either, as you're talking about, the emergency disease infectious response plans in place. And so from the looks of it, the season's going to start on time. So that's not the question. The real question is what happens if there's an outbreak,
mm-hmm.
right? So like season's hoping to start on time. What happens if, like you look with the St. Louis Cardinals in baseball, and 7 out of the 20 guys get sick, almost half the team? What happens if you see what happened in college football? Many players are getting sick. So I think that's the real issue is, yes, season's going to start on time, but will there be a pause or a break in the season?
And that's a great question. Sam Macho, a former Chicago Bear, a community activist on our Terra 60 hotline. Sam, that's the interesting thing about it, because last week around this time, it was speculation that the Big Ten, and of course the Pac-12, they were looking to cancel the fall sports, the fall season. Of course, obviously, football, and then, within the next day or two, it became official. Now, 7 days later, you got parents from Ohio State. You got parents from Iowa. I think you even got some parents from Northwestern who are petitioning, the commission and the Big Ten and saying, hey, you know what? We weren't included in this. No one asked our opinions about what we believe and what we thought regarding the season. And we think we need a voice. Justin Fields for the Ohio State Buckeyes, the quarterback, he has gotten 115,000 signatures on a petition to say, hey, wait a minute, we want to play. And Ohio State has been on record to say, listen, we have done everything in our power to make sure that our players are protected. And we are at the top of the list regarding protocol, yet you still pull the plug on it. So he's collected 115,000 signatures around the Big Ten to say, listen, we have a voice. We want to be included. You chancellors, your presidents who are making all these decisions regarding our future, we want a seat at the table as well. And he believes, as a student athlete, they deserve an opportunity to go out there and play. Now, you played your ball at Texas, correct? Your collegiate ball at Texas.
Yep.
Do you support these players who are coming out and flexing their muscles, so to speak, and say, you know what? We understand the risk factors regarding this coronavirus and COVID, but we feel that we're doing everything in our power to stay free of this. What are your thoughts on the decision regarding these athletes who want to come out and still continue to play this fall?
Yeah, Jerry. Well, it's funny. Somebody asked me this a few days ago. I was hosting a podcast, and one of my friends who was on it, they said, what would you do if you were one of those student athletes? How would you feel? And no one had ever asked me that question. I've been sitting here and negotiating with the NFLPA, et cetera. But once I really thought about it, my response was simple. I said, I would be devastated. I would be devastated if I had worked, maybe not my entire life, but a large majority of my life to go and play in college. Obviously, people talk about student athlete, but that student part in all reality is second. The athlete part is first. It's why you're there. I would be devastated if my season was canceled and it was out of my control. And so I love what some of these players are doing and going and signing petitions and getting people together to try and make a change. They're using their voice. Now, is it too little too late? Maybe. But, man, I'd be devastated. I really feel for some of these kids. And I say this from a unique place, right, because I've been on the NFLPA Executive Committee fighting for player rights and player health and safety, and if the season needs to be canceled, let's cancel it. But I was on that horse until I started listening to some of my teammates. They said, no, I need to play, man. I need to play. Without this, I don't know what I have. And that's kind of what goes back to just this issues of identity, right? Who are we as people? Like, who are we as individuals, whether you're an athlete, whether you're a radio host, whether you're a dad, whether you're a mom, like whoever's listening, like, who are you really, right? And that's what my book is all about, right? Like, getting to the core of who you are.
You know, it's interesting that you say that. Brandon Marshall, the fabulous wide receiver who played with the Bears and went out east, he was on a program, I think yesterday or sometime this weekend, and he was addressing pretty much the same topic as far as student athletes and the opportunity to continue to play this fall, or, you know, wait and see next spring what happens. And, you know, he said that when he was in college that, you know, his family didn't have a lot. I believe his mother was struggling. I believe he had a 16-year-old sister that was pregnant. His brother was, you know, trying to make a way, and he was like, you know what? Football is my out. Like you said, football is my out. It's my opportunity. And he said that he put his heart and soul into the sport, and it's changed his life and changed his family life for generations. But it was because when he was in college, he's like, I'm going to do any and everything in my power to succeed and make it to the next level, because it's not about me just going out there and playing football. It's about me making a big difference, not only in his family, but he also said he started businesses and hired over like 43, 45 people in the businesses that he started to help change their lives as well. And so, you know, these athletes, we look at it from an entertainment perspective and say, you know what? Yeah, you know, you shouldn't be out there playing. Maybe you should go out and wait. But for many of these guys, it's the difference between night and day, and in some cases, living and dying. And so it's a very, very fine line, brother. It's a very, very fine line. And I think if I were in that situation, I dedicated my life to get to this particular point. I think I want to play as well. But science is science, man. And this one is a very, very tricky one. It's a very difficult one. But I do side with the players and understand what the players are doing when they want to continue to play it. Because it could jeopardize their future, especially if you're a senior.
Right, and that's the tough part, Jerry, because I'd ask you the same question. You answered it a little bit, but what would you do? Let's say, take your position, let's say, as a parent, right? And your son's getting ready to be a first-round pick, second-round pick, finally getting the starting lineup, and all of a sudden everyone else is playing, but your division got canceled. Like, how would you feel? I'm really interested. What would you say?
So I'll tell you a secret real quick, man. I went to the Ohio State University, and I was actually a part of the spring team. This is many moons ago. My son actually was a Buckeye as well, and he was going out for the team, and he tore his ACL, which was devastating for us. It literally was devastating for us. But to answer your question, if I were in that situation as a player and or a parent, I certainly will evaluate the situation as much as I possibly could and get all the answers that I possibly could. And depending on the skill set as far as my ability or my son's ability, I would make a very, very tough decision. But I'd say what's more important for me in the next 20, 25, 30 years. If I make it to the league, life expectancy is 2.5 to 3.5 years. And there's no guarantee, as you well know, because there are a lot of talented people around the country who are trying to get to this less than 1% as far as this league is concerned. My daughter was a great gymnast here in the Chicagoland area, regional. She went, nationals, and Baylor was interested in her, but they weren't willing to give us the type of money that we were looking for, in a nutshell. And so we had to decide, is gymnastics going to be something that you are going to thrive in, or do you want to start to focus on your education? And we took the route of education. She's now a junior at the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana, studying engineering. So I would look long-term and a more, what am I looking for? Long-term and a more stable outlook, as opposed to, chasing that dream, so to speak, unless I was a top-tier player. If I'm a top-tier player, hey, man, I'm going to be a free agent, knock on some doors and say, hey, man, give me a chance.
Jerry and Sammy, that's the thing. There's a lot of money involved. And then there's the question about eligibility, too, now. If they end up not playing and you're a senior, are you done?
Well, they'll give them the eligibility. Yeah. They already said back in March that a lot of the players who were these baseball players who were supposed to play in the spring, they get the opportunity to come back. And I think some of the basketball programs as well say you get to come back and you get that year of eligibility.
But and the NCAA basketball, I'm not sure that they gave him an extra year.
Yeah, I think I think they did. But Sam, that in a nutshell, that's what I would do. That's what I would do if I were in that situation. Because we're approaching 200,000 deaths in this country regarding the coronavirus, and you just don't want to run the risk, man. And that's the way that I look at it. I can't put wealth ahead of health. I can't personally do it. But this is and
I hear where you're coming from, Jerry, but you talk about that long-term 20, 30 years down the line. For a lot of these athletes, especially the ones who, as we mentioned, are already at Ohio State, which usually has the last couple of years 10+ players drafted, right out of 20-some people in a seniors in a graduating class. My next 20, 30 years may be determined by what happens this year.
That's true.
Right, so I'm going on my 10th year in the NFL. What happened my junior year, my senior year, determined, yes, the average is 3.5. I'm not looking at that 3.5 or 3.1. I'm looking at, no, I'm different. Right, this is Texas, this is Ohio State, this is what I'm different. And I have been. And so imagine these athletes, right? Imagine how frustrated or angry. Like, that's what really changed my heart. Because like I said, initially I said, no, everything should be canceled. But then you just go and listen to some of the student athletes, some of the current athletes, the pro athletes, and you realize, oh, no, this is a lot of their futures, right? And that's why I encourage a lot of I was on the phone with a strength coach at Indiana who coaches basketball just now, and trying to share my book with them, right? SamMachoBook.com, the idea of, hey, we need to understand what we are behind the athlete, underneath the athlete. Because, yes, it doesn't mean that we're not going to make the hard decisions of playing or not playing, but it also gives us the freedom to go harder in both, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe you don't have to choose either gymnastics or academics. Maybe there's a way to do both. And I think you made the right decision with your daughter. I really do, right? But I think for a lot of athletes, it's a harder decision that a lot of us give them credit for.
No, you're right, man, and we can continue to talk about this, and we want to continue to talk about this with you, Sam Macho. But I got to think about this. Think about this before we let you go. What if you're an Olympic athlete? What if you're an Olympic athlete and you've reached your peak? This past summer was your turn, your time to shine. And if they're already talking about canceling, they pushed it back to 2021. Now they're already talking about canceling and just forgetting about it. What if you're an Olympic athlete and you've trained 4 years, 6 years, whatever, and now this thing has stepped in front and told you can't do it? That's what we're talking about here, man. It's
interesting. It's interesting. I don't enjoy cutting you off, but as you're talking, I'm thinking, man, I got a friend who's an Olympic athlete. One of my really good friends, she runs track for the U.S. Olympic team, and my thought was that she would have been devastated, right? Mm-hmm. Man, we're getting moved back a year. What's going to happen? But by God's grace, it was moved back a year, and for her, this is just another hurdle, right? If you have the discipline, the wherewithal, the mindset, the heart to train 4 years, just give me one more year, right? Don't cancel me. Don't cancel my seat. But just give me one more year, right? Just give me an opportunity. And so I think for a lot of these student athletes and athletes we're talking about right now, all we are asking for is an opportunity, right? That's it. So I don't care if you push me back. I don't care if you give me another eligibility. Just let me play. And if you're not going to let me play, give me an opportunity. A lot of people you see now, they're opting out and they're actually training to get ready for the NFL, right? It's about that opportunity. So I think COVID is just a hurdle for a lot of people, right? Now, obviously, don't take it lightly. It's, like I said, approaching 200,000 deaths, and a lot of people's families are affected. But for the Olympic athlete, in their mind, this is another hurdle, right? This is life. This is going to be hard, just like everything else. But this is a hurdle, and I have to not only approach it, but attack it.
No, I agree with you. Michael Phelps, the great sensational Michael Phelps, said, the one thing that may haunt these Olympic athletes is the fact that they've trained all these years to get to this point where they're peaking. Their bodies are peaking for this, 2-3 week time. And now they got to shut it down for another 365 days. And he said, a lot of these athletes, you got to watch out for them because mental strain and mental stress and anxiety that they carry with them, that could take a toll. And if you're a peak athlete, you know how it is. Yeah, it's another hurdle, but your psyche is saying, hey, I'm prepared for this. And then you go, whoa, man, I got to do this for another 365 days to get back to where I already had peaked. And he said the mental anguish that goes into that could take a really, really serious effect on these athletes. So, there's both ways of looking at it. And I just hope collectively, as we all said at the beginning of this, Sam, we're all in this together. Let's fight this thing. Let's get past it. And let's get back to some sort of normalcy. And let's get back to, watching some football, watching some basketball, watching some baseball. Although, if you're a Sox fan or a Cub fan?
Cubs.
Hey, man, the Cubs, did you see Javi Baez today at Hader? He hit a grounder to the right side, first base, and it looked like Little League. Did you see him? Hader made the put out.
I didn't. It was the swim move. It was Javi's famous swim
It was hilarious.
Move. Yeah.
It was hilarious. Javi hit a bouncer. Hader, the Brewers' closing ace, he's just striking out everybody. Javi was able to lay a bat on it down the right field, down the first base line. Hader makes the move, gets the fields of play. Javi is running down the baseline. They meet at first base. Javi slows up, does kind of like a juke move, and Hader, instead of just touching the bag, tried to place the tag on Javi, and Javi nearly got underneath him, but nearly got underneath the tag to get on his foot on the base, and he was called out. But when you see the highlights later on tonight, it's going to look like something in Little League, man. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. But, it was a good play. It was a fun play. The Cubs, they should do well. The Sox, I don't know. Ricky Renteria, he got my britches burning, brother. He got my britches burning. But hey, man, thank you so very much. I appreciate you taking some time out. Both Marvelous and I appreciate you taking some time out, man. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And we didn't get a chance to talk about the NFL and the voting initiative. So hopefully we can invite you back next week to talk a little bit more.
Man, I'd love to be back on. Thank y'all so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Sam. We got to run, but we'll definitely stay in contact. You're the best.
Awesome. Thanks,
Sam.
Sounds good. Sam Acho on our TR60 hotline. It's the fastest hour in sports conversation. I didn't know we were going to get this long regarding Sam Acho because we got another guest on tap here. But you saw the play, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's so famous for that swim move at second, and he's had some others where he's like in the baseline, in a rundown where he's juking and everything else. So Javi's pretty famous for those wild moves where he tries to avoid a tag.
Yeah, it was, it was just funny to see. It was refreshing to see. And, of course, Javi was involved, and you're like, wow. So if you're watching a marquee sports network tonight and you're watching the highlights or any of the highlights locally, whether it's 2, 5, 7, 9, and 32, you're certainly going to see this. Or ESPN, you're certainly going to see that move. It was a great move, but it was a little league move, and it was just good to see, man. Even though they lost.
Yep.
What else is on your mind, Marvelous? You kind of like just, in thought over there.
Well, we got the NBA playoffs finally starting, and we had that exciting play-in game between the Trailblazers and the Grizzlies for the right to meet the Lakers. And so finally that nonsense is over, and they're going to actually have the real playoffs. And looks like our Blackhawks are playing right now, and they're possibly going to be swept by the Vegas Knights. Golden Knights. So there's other sports going on too, and I'm enjoying the NHL and the NBA as well.
No, it's there's a lot of sports going on. We do want to say happy anniversary to the Negro League, 100th anniversary to the Negro League. It's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
No thoughts.
100, yeah. A happy anniversary.
What are your thoughts?
I want to sing.
What are your thoughts, Marvelous?
I was going to sing. I was going to sing a song now.
Go ahead, sing a song, Marvelous.
Okay, happy birthday. No, I mean, obviously there was a lot of history there, and there was before the Jackie Robinson days and all. There were a lot of the players that were very good players that never had a chance to play in the National American League, and that's a shame. But they actually there was a place for them to play, thank goodness. And finally, Jackie Robinson broke the barrier, and the rest is history.
No, the rest is history. And the interesting thing about it is the Negro League, and you all know, is documented. They play both at Wrigley and at the old Comiskey Park. And even when the Cubs were struggling for attendance, and the White Sox were kind of like teeter-tottering on attendance, I think the Sox were actually doing better regarding attendance compared to what the Cubs were. But when the Negro Leaguers came into town, especially the Comiskey, they were able to play their games over there, and they were drawing 50 to 60,000 fans over at the old Comiskey ballpark.
Wow.
And predominantly African-American spectators, African-American fans. Which it's unbelievable when you think about the times, Marvelous.
Absolutely. I mean, there were some such great players that, like Cool Papa Bell and the others, Leon Day.
Satchel Paige.
Yeah, right.
No, I mean, it's
Josh Gibson, Monty Irvin.
Yes. And of course, we understand, Ernie Banks was one of the first African Americans to play over on the north side for the Cubs. Minnie Minoso over on the south side for the White Sox. Larry Doby, after Jackie Robinson, made his debut with the Brooklyn Dodgers. But other players, Lou Johnson in 1955, Sam Jones in 46-48, Luis Marquez 45-48, Willie Smith 58-59, George Altman, Gene Baker, Ernie Banks, Mike Gonzalez, Monte Irvin, just some of the Negro League players who had an opportunity to play in the major leagues for the Cubs and/or White Sox. And as far as the founder is concerned, it was Rube Foster. He's the father of black baseball, founded and managed the Chicago American Giants. We still wear the hat now. Paul Shivari, who's filling in for Devin Tingle, has a hat. I had a hat, and I somebody snagged it. This was years ago, but the Chicago American Giants, that was a great hat. He organized the Negro National League in the 1920 and served as president and treasurer. The league began with 8 teams, Marvelous, including Rube's Giants, elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1981. So this Rube Foster is just as important, if not more important, and some people may want to throw a brick at me or whatever, but think about this. Papa Bear Hallis started the National Football League, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, think about this. This guy started the Negro League, and it's arguably the talent in the Negro League was better than the talent in the major leagues.
No.
But unfortunately, as time would have it, blacks weren't we weren't allowed to play with the white ball players. What's so funny over
I'm
there?
just saying. I'm reading about the attendance. They drew 200,000 spectators during the 21 season. The Chicago American Giants. They drew big fans. I mean, that's a lot of people in those days.
No, Marvelous.
Yeah,
it's a lot of people in any day, but especially during that time when you talk about 65,000 fans, baseball fans crammed into a stadium to watch some of the elite ball players in the world, get together and play. That says a lot. That says a lot, and it's unfortunate that it took Jackie Robinson and Branch Rickey, to break the color barrier, so to speak.
Yeah, it was so difficult too. If you read about that year, I mean, he was still unable to dine with the other players and all that. So it was very difficult even for him to make that breakthrough.
Well, you know what? It's interesting because we were hoping to get Fergie Jenkins on to talk a little bit about him, but we just didn't have enough time to reach out and get him on. But he certainly has some stories that he could share. I know Willie Mays has shared stories over the years. Hank Aaron definitely has shared some stories over the years. And it's a disappointing and unfortunate situation, the times that we lived in and still currently that we're experiencing today, is the fact that we weren't, and I don't want to get into a political rant or anything, and it might lead to that, but I get kind of sick and tired of hearing people of non-color or white people say they're tired of hearing about Black Lives Matter. They're tired of hearing about it. Well, when you talk about these African American ball players who were clearly equal, if not better, than many of their white peers playing at the level, that they had to stay in separate. If you've seen the Jackie Robinson story, you've seen what he went through, a glimpse of what he experienced, but couldn't stay at the same hotel, couldn't eat at the same restaurant, didn't get the same type of living quarters or any of that. And
insults from the fans.
Insults from the N-word.
Yeah.
The N-word. And what they endured to bring this sport and sports to the level of excitement, enjoyment, and entertainment that we experience today, it's mind-boggling. Mm-hmm. It's mind-boggling, and unfortunately, that was the mentality, and somewhat still the mentality today, that there's one race that's more superior in their minds than any other race, and they don't want to have equality or justice. And so we bring up the conversation regarding Sam Acho and the young lady saying reparations. That's why this younger generation, they feel the way that they feel, and they think the way that they think, and believe the way they believe, is because, come on, man, you got clearly one of the best athletes in Jackie Robinson, and he wasn't the best in the Negro League, but they felt he was the best mentally to handle all the abusive behavior that he was going to face. Mm-hmm. And he had to go through all of that just to say that I can play? Just to say that I can play?
Well, there were a lot of innovations. I mean, the Negro League had the first night game in 1930, the Kansas City Monarchs, and what they had to go through to get that done is an interesting story too. They had to bring in light towers mounted on trucks.
Believe me, I mean it's mind-boggling, it's mind-blowing. But for the young lady to say reparations, this is one reason why this generation of black and brown people are saying, you know what? Enough is enough. We're sick of it. Our grandfathers, our great-grandfathers, our uncles, they all went through this BS, and we're not going through it anymore. So when I hear people, and I hear it a lot, oh, I'm tired of this Black Lives Matter stuff. Well, you know what? Here you go. You're tired of it? Here you go. Too bad. Too bad. And why do I say too bad? Because when you oppressed, and other races can say, hey, we've been oppressed. This has happened to us. And this is what happened to us. And this is what we went through. But when your race of people have been oppressed for 400 years, and it's never been a level playing field, I understand why the young folks are saying enough is enough. And if you can't take Black Lives Matter, man, Man, and let me set one record straight, too, since I'm on my soapbox. When I hear white people going, all lives matter. Wait a minute. If all lives matter, we wouldn't have to say Black Lives Matter. If all lives matter, and you truly believe that, and stood by that, and lived by that, then there's no reason to talk about Black Lives Matter. But the reason Black Lives Matter is the fact that Black lives didn't matter. Black lives didn't matter. And for you people out there who oppose the kneeling, because it's disrespectful, i.e. Mike Dicker, it's disrespectful to the American flag. If you don't like this country, get out of here. No. We don't like the way the country is being run. It has been run. The kneeling? I'm Catholic, okay? I saw a statue in a Catholic store with a football player kneeling. And I was going to take a snapshot of it and shoot it out, but the player is kneeling to show respect and honor to our God. A football player. And I say, hey, wait a minute. If God can accept a football player kneeling, an athlete's kneeling, who the hell are you to say to nobody that you can't kneel? Who the hell are you? Because of a flag?
Yeah.
And you got to tell him, get out of this country.
There was a major breakthrough where officially Biden picked his vice presidential nominee, Kamala Harris. So that's a big breakthrough. And should he win, hopefully things will change. But it will be hard to erase 400 years right away.
Yeah, but don't. The worst thing you can do, in my opinion, one of the bad things you can do, in my opinion, is go, hey, I'm tired of hearing all this Black Lives Matter stuff. All lives matter. Well, if that's the case, as they say, action speaks louder than words. If that's the case, then show it. Show it. Well, I'm just sick and tired of these. I talked to some police officers down on the Magnificent Mile after the protests and all the rioting went on, and I don't condone it. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. It's idiotic, but I understand it.
Yesterday was bad, too. You couldn't even drive through Chicago. I tried to.
I understand it. But this police officer told me, hey, man, I'm just tired. A white police officer from the South Side. I'm tired of seeing this Black Lives Matter stuff. And I go, dude, relax. You have to understand, man. This is half of these people don't even know what they're doing. Hey, listen, they understand there's something wrong and they want to change. They want to make a difference. And they want to wake some people up.
I know. The thing with where they were bringing bricks and U-Haul trucks is crazy. But
it is crazy. It is crazy. And just like there are bad apples as far as the police force is concerned. And I brought up John Burge. I go, wait a minute. I go, you. People they're pissed off at the police, and you only have to look back to the 80s and John Burge and what happened to African American males in this city. Mm-hmm. You only just have to look back to the 80s and see the bad apples. But you're right, it doesn't condone the bad apples that are bringing bricks and frozen water bottles to protest the police officers either. Because my mother told me, 2 wrongs don't make a right. They don't make a right. Any closing thoughts?
I was going to mention, if Tom Dreesen had come on, did you know he had the first biracial stand-up comedy act?
Of course, him and Tim Reed.
Right, okay.
My good friend, Dr. Gerard McClendon and I, when we were at CLT with Gerard McClendon Live, we actually interviewed Tim Reed and Tom Dreesen over outside the Tribune Tower. Because, yes, they were the first black and white team. And Tom Dreesen will tell you the story that it wasn't their idea to come up with that. It was a waitress or a young lady to say, you guys are funny. Maybe you should come up with a comedy team. Yeah. And the rest is history.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Folks, thank you so very much for taking time out to join us on the fastest hour in sports conversation. This is the Rewind Sports 60 on WCPT. Thanks to the marvelous one, Dan Marver. Thanks to Paul Shivari filling in for Devin Tingle. We miss Lauren Cox. Ladies and gentlemen, if you miss any portion of the Rewind Sports 60, you can check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and if you're on Comcast, Wednesdays, 7 p.m., Channel 17, Channel 19, Channel 35. It is the fastest hour in sports conversation. Keep it locked in. You've got the Rewind. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.